This is a video response to a video that Alex Carpenter put up the other day, talking about when do we become ourselves? At what point do you become the person that you're pretty much going to be for the rest of your life? And first of all, I want to disagree with one thing that Alex said in the video. He said something along the lines of little kids always feel like they're at their final point and they don't really have a sense of like future development. And I want to disagree with that. My preschoolers at work definitely think about the future. They're always talking about what they want to be when they grow up. And sometimes it's something realistic like a doctor or a firefighter. And then sometimes in all seriousness, they want to grow up to be Batman or the Hulk or a mermaid. But then little kids generally have a sense of shorter term goals too. Like the kindergartners at my school all look forward to the spring when they get taught how to use the teeter-totters safely and they're finally allowed to go on them. And the first graders look forward to being second graders when they get to be reading buddies to younger students. And the third graders look forward to being fourth graders when they'll be the top dogs in the school. And the fourth graders are looking forward to going to the middle school. So kids definitely have a sense that they are going to grow and change in the future. Most kids at least. But anyways, to talk about the main thing about when do you become yourself and what makes that happen. I think most people have some kind of foundation that sticks with them forever. Like, I've been obsessed with books literally since I was a baby, and I've always loved learning and I've always loved traveling, and those things are definitely still a big part of me today. But I think if you want to think about yourself as a series of puzzle pieces that are all coming together, I think you have, different pieces that come in at different points, and they may be bigger or smaller pieces in relation to the whole thing. Like, I started dance when I was 4, and that was, that's something that I still carry with me today, and that's a really important part of who I am. When I was 11, I picked up Harry Potter, or I was kind of forced into reading Harry Potter. And shortly thereafter, I discovered fan fiction, which helped me realize how much I love to write. And also when I was 11, I started studying Spanish, and I really took to that, and that eventually became my major in college. And then in high school, I joined the marching band, and I was really involved in theater, and that really brought me out of my shell and made me a less quiet person and more outgoing and just more willing to go with the flow and that sort of thing. But I think I would posture that most people have something that is a big shift for them, a really big piece that comes in and pushes everything around, and changes who they really are and informs who they're really going to become. And maybe that thing is not obvious at first, but looking back, somebody might be able to pick that out for themselves. And I'm going to guess that for most people that happens somewhere between the age of 12 and 25. Just ballpark. For me, that big shift was basically the year 2009. I was 19 in the first half of the year and 20 in the second half of the year. And the first big thing was LeakyCon. In May 2009, I went to the first LeakyCon in Boston, and like walking through the front door of the Boston Park Plaza was like Dorothy stepping out of her house and discovering that all of a sudden the world is in color. Like, I literally had no idea what I was walking into, but I was just surrounded all of a sudden by these people who were 100% happy about who they were. They weren't shy about it. They were unironically just celebrating everything. Life, love, friends, books, music, community, all the things that are really important to me. And some of them I didn't even realize were that important to me until that weekend. And I had no idea about the scope of the fandom, and I was just a new nerd fighter and all of that stuff. So that was really a life-changing experience. That was probably the most life-changing experience I ever had as far as becoming the person I am now 3 years later, which really isn't that long, but I feel like I've changed so much. And then also in 2009, I studied abroad in Ecuador in the fall for 2.5 months. And that was an incredible experience. I learned a lot about Ecuador and just about different cultures and about culture shock and reverse culture shock and that sort of thing. But I also really learned a lot about myself on that trip and who I am and the kind of person that I want to become. And so that was a really, really big piece of my puzzle. And then on December 31st, 2009, I walked into my very first HP Ohio event. And I mean, it hasn't even been 3 years since then. And I feel like I've known the people in HP Ohio forever. They're my best friends. You know, I see them several times a year, even though some of us live hours and hours from each other. And that just has become a huge piece of my life. And, you know, that really, Harry Potter and all the things that are associated with it really are the biggest part of who I am today. But I think in general there's going to be some kind of big shift between the age of 12 and 25, but that's going to be really different for everybody, you know, and it might be one very specific, like, you know, 30-second moment, or it might be something, you know, that took a long period of time, whatever. So there you go. That's what I thought, and I would love to hear anybody else's thoughts if you want to post in the comments or post a video response. I hope you're all having a good evening, and I'll see you later.